time to see the next presentation. He comes from Eficode. He's a DEVOPS consultant, Mr. Markus Suonto.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the good presentation about Docker, because I'm going to go through the same stuff basically. So I've reduced the redundancy in this, so it's only going to be 20 minutes. I'm going to present an alternative. It's basically the same thing, but a different product. It's new, so I thought you might be interested. It's container orchestration with Docker DATACENTER. First, however, I'd like to say that this was the evaluation of Docker DATACENTER was conducted together with Eficode, which is a surprisingly advanced company in Finland in container technologies. So I'm going to re-emphasize briefly some of the points why we're doing this, so that it's clear to everybody, and then quickly introduce the Docker DATACENTER itself and the parts that it consists of, the Docker Universal Control Plane and the Trusted Registry. And then finally we get to the good part, the demo about this. So, why do we do containerization? Well, every application has a certain set. Can you hear me if I don't have the mic? Yeah, of course. Okay, so every application has a certain set of dependencies and environment. So it might be tricky to manage those dependencies, and even if you happen to have a cloud at your disposal, like OpenStack, it still requires you to launch for each environment that you want. You need to launch a new stack of resources and provision it with some nice tool, modern tool like Ansible, and you're up and running. But it will anyway take you like 20 minutes and the work to do your provisioning scripts and stuff. So in an optimal situation, you would have the application and the dependencies back together, like you said, right? So that's exactly what Docker does for you. And when you have this, it lets you do the orchestration. You don't have to care where your application is running. So when you have multiple nodes of power, you can just put your application run on any of this. You tell your cluster, I command you to put 5 of these up, and you don't have to care where they run, because the cluster can just direct your traffic to them, and it's fine. So what does this mean for us when we're doing DevOps? Let's say that if you have, let's say, an acceptance test set that takes 1 hour to run, and you want to provision a new environment, you can do it. You just snap your fingers, you say, bring me a new environment, deploy these, and then run the tests against them. In 5 seconds it's up, and then you're running your tests. And if you want to run another test run, you can provision a new environment and run your tests there as well. And at the same time, you can have your staging environment for manual testing and your production, and it all goes smoothly. So there are many other products, as we saw. the OpenShift is a good one, and then we have Mesosphere, we have Rancher, and this time we're just going to take a look at the Docker DATACENTER. So about the DATACENTER, what it is, it's basically a set of nodes running on-premises or in a private cloud, and instead of Kubernetes, it's managed with Docker Swarm, which is like a simplified version of Kubernetes, basically. It does orchestration. It has 2 products, the Docker Trusted Registry and the Docker Universal Control Plane. Control Plane takes care of the orchestration part, and the Trusted Registry just brings you the images. And for a user, it feels kind of native. You just do the same commands that you would do when you run Docker locally, but after sourcing one file, instead of executing them in your own computer, you actually execute them in the cloud. And the cloud will just take it into production or whatever environment you want. And what comes to the more advanced features, It has many nice and officially supported plugins for networking. Docker has the built-in networking, even overlay networking today. But if you want to use some other network drivers, you have plugins for that. Or if you want persistent storage, you have those plugins. So the universal control plane as a product, it's basically just a UI. It gives you a UI to manage your applications, containers, nodes, volumes, networks, and images. On top of that, users and teams and settings. So that's everything that you need to manage Docker and Docker containers and Docker orchestration, but nothing extra. So it's basically the product is much simpler. It doesn't have as many features as some other products, but it has all the basic features that you want. It has built-in role-based access control. I'll return to this in the end of this slide, which integrates to LDAP and AD. And also, if you put the load balancer in front of this cluster, it's highly available by default. So you can put multiple nodes and then just load balancer traffic, and it doesn't care in which node it goes. And the best thing, if I would need to say one good thing about this product in total, it would be that it is the native Docker user experience. You don't have to write anything else. You have your Docker compose file that you use locally anyway, and then you just source one file, it's in the cloud, like I said. And we will see that in the demo anyway. One negative thing, on top of the very unfortunate thing that this is a product that costs something, I don't like that. One negative thing about the features is the access control. It has, in principle, like a perfect access control. You put a default role for a team or for a user, no access to any resources, and then you can put labels, like if it has Markus's label, you can do instead whatever you want with it. So that means I could do anything I want in the cluster, but only if I add the Markus label thing. So if it has an admin label, I don't even see it. So basically it would be perfect, but for now, it doesn't work like that. So it only supports labels for containers, and it doesn't support labels for, let's say, networks or stuff like that. So it's not perfect yet. I hope that this improves in the future. Docker Trusted Registry just stores the images. The product is just the UI to see and browse your reports and delete them if you want. It is basically the same kind of access control that also integrates, and it also has integration to storage backends. The last thing that I want to mention is that in the UI you can also edit your certificates, so the management is a bit simpler that way. And now to the interesting stuff. So the structure of the demo is going to be really simple. I'm going to take the Docker cats versus dogs demo application, and I'm going to take it into development in my own computer. I make it something more suitable for the DEVOPS 2016, and then I will push it to the Docker Trusted Registry. And then I move to my admin side. That means that I'm on the same computer again, but I source one file. So I'm the admin of the cluster this time. And when I execute my Docker commands there, they will be executed in the cluster. So when I give the same Docker compose up command, what actually happens is that it will go to the UCP and tell it, please deploy this new image that was pushed into the Docker Trusted Registry, and it will fetch that from the registry and then run it, and then hopefully we all get to vote in the application. Okay. So about the structure of the application, it is the demo application. So obviously it's a microservice architecture application of five different components. The component that I would like you guys to use later with your phones is the voting app. You can vote between the two choices, and your votes will go to a Redis queue, which is a separate container, from where a Java worker container will get those votes and put them into a Postgres database. Finally, the results app which is made in Node.js, will present those results to all of us. I will put that one on the screen later. And once I've done the demo and it's deployed, these are the addresses that you can use to access the demo. So it's not up yet, but later you can access it by going to vote.dockerdatacenter.eficode.com and start voting. Okay, so thank you for your patience, and let's get to the demo. So let's say I will first show you how the demo application looks, and then I will show you how it looks. We saw the structure, so then I will show how it looks in the compose file. So what I'm going to do is Docker compose with the file voting app, and I will put this Docker compose file up in a detached mode. So here we go. And it created the app. I had pre-built this app to save some time, but we will rebuild it after now, once I have edited it a bit. So what we want to do now, we want to see the app. So let's see where my Docker machine is running. It's called slave. You don't have to care about this. If you run OS X, you have to use Docker machine to run Docker locally. It's like a virtual box. So my virtual box is running here, and I will take that. And I know that my application has two interfaces, one in the port 5000. This is the voting app, and then I have another one with 5001. This is the results app. My screen is a bit weird, but I think that's fine. Okay, so the application is like this. So I want to make this a little bit more suitable for our use. So let's put it, let's shut it down. I will use the same, I will use the same Docker compose file, but this time I will use down with also remove volumes option. So with the Docker compose file, I shut down the application. And the compose file itself, you remember there were 5 parts. And the compose file, let's zoom in so that you can see well. Can you see? Yeah, okay. So it has basically the services, voting app, result app, worker, Redis, and database. And everybody who's already familiar with Docker or Docker Compose, this is very the standard stuff that you do. And it has the minimum configuration. So what do I build and where do I expose it? What networks? It's a 3-layer application, so it has a front tier and back tier network. And that's about it. And then we put it, we edit the application now to make it more suitable for this event, right? So I want to edit the cats and dogs into DEVOPS versus, let's say, sweating. Okay, and then I do the same in the application. DEVOPS and sweating. Okay, I'm done. And hey, I heard that you guys like magic tricks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a magic trick. So I'm gonna also change the style of the application by snapping my fingers. Done. Okay, we can continue now. So I'm going to rebuild. No, seriously, I just edited the CSS a little bit before. So I'm going to use Docker Compose with the same file again to build the application without the cache. So that's the command, and I run it. So it's going to build it in a few seconds. Unless I don't have an internet connection. Well, this is not the first time that this actually happened to me. So I would say that I'm really sorry and we don't get to see the application, but since I have a backup, we don't have to care about this. So I would have built the application now if I had the internet connection to the Flask pip repository. I don't know why I don't have it, but anyway, and I would have shown you that it looks a little bit different. And then the only thing, the second part of the deployment process, I only need to tag the images that I just created with the same build command. I mean, I have the images now. Let's imagine I have the images now, and I will tag them with the Docker data center address and my repositories. I have in the data center, I mean the trusted registry, I have those repositories, so I can use them to push my secure images there, and then the cluster can fetch them from there and use them. So I would use the push command, but since we didn't get to build those, we are just going to use the pre-existing images and go right ahead and deploy this. So how do I get to authenticate to the system as an admin? So I go to the universal control plane as myself and into my profile, and here I have a button to download my client bundle. And what I need to do with this, I go to my admin side. This is my admin side, and I go to the folder bundle and move everything in here. There's nothing in this folder, and I move that zip that I got from the universal control plane. I move it here and I unzip it, and it basically contains this important file. Let's show you the environment sh, which is like the Docker machine native file. It just tells you where to run your Docker when you use the client. So I'm going to source this. And now I'm on. Now I'm the admin, and whenever I use a command in my Docker client here, it will be executed on the remote side in the cluster. So let's deploy our application. I'll use the same compose file. No, actually I use a different compose file. The only difference in this compose file is that it will fetch the images from the registry instead of building them first. So it will just fetch the images from the registry and deploy them in the data center. It creates also the networks. What? Okay, so thank God I have one more backup. So let's deploy my backup application, because I really don't want to leave you guys empty-handed here.
You forgot to sacrifice for the demo card.
Yeah. So I should have sacrificed a goat or something.
Yes.
I don't really believe in that though. I only do white magic. Okay, so it should be up now, but before you guys access it, I would like to scale it so that it will hold all our load. And let's see what I'm doing. So with the backup compose file, I use docker compose with the native command scale, and I will put vaulting app to 5 replicas, and then the cluster will start them. And we have 5 replicas, and then I do the same for the worker app. The results app, I don't think we need to scale, so So this should be fine. And now you can go to vote.dockerdatacenter.eficode.com and vote for your preferred choice in this application. And I will go to result.dockerdatacenter. So, oh, you're already voting. So which one do you prefer? Sweating or DEVOPS? This is a pretty alarming result, guys, considering where we are at the moment. Okay, well, I mean, I don't take any part in that, so. One last thing that I would like to show you before I let you ask questions and we can end this presentation. If I want to make a test environment at the same time while the production is running, let's do it. So I have a test environment deploy compose file, which is once again just the same file, but I will just deploy it with a different name. I will deploy in a different project name, but to make it work, we have to edit this a little bit. So I will take the Suonto and I will edit this to contain backup. You can't see, but that's fine. It's just a screen. Yeah, so I added backup to all those images so that we can use the backup image for my test environment. And then I'm just going to go right ahead and run a new test environment. And to make this work, it doesn't have any DNS, so I have edited my host file a little bit to make it work. But this is basically it. I use a different file for my test environment, and then I use a project name, test and voting app, and I put it up with the same way that I did the previous one. And then when I go to the address test and vote dot the same stuff, I should have my test environment up, which is my own environment. Test and vote.dockerdatacenter.eficode.com. Okay, it's here, it's fresh, and you haven't touched it, so I can still do my stuff while you're using the production stuff. I can do the same with the result, so I can vote by myself. Or I can go back and check your final result. Okay, it's still alive, I think. So I think we can set some time and I end here. And please, if you have any questions, if you are looking for a technical discussion, we can have that later. But you know where to find me. I'm just here. So if you have any questions, go ahead. Yeah.
What features you would like to add to the Docker data center is currently lagging right now?
The labels. The labels for all the resources. After that, I would be completely happy, and then remove the cost.
The other question is, if you don't have to worry about the money, would you choose still the same product for example?
Well, it kind of depends what you want to do. I mean, if you compare, let's say, if you compare OpenShift and the data center is like a raw version of OpenShift. It has like just the features to run and deploy your application and forward the traffic, but it takes no part in any continuous delivery or your CI pipelines. It doesn't have anything to do with those. So it depends what you're looking for. Are you looking for some complete solution? Are you looking for a raw solution? Are you looking for something that you want to hack yourself? Then you should take Swarm or... No, it's not necessarily my personal choice what I would take. It depends on the situation, what I want. Yeah.
Which one would you choose for yourself? If you had to, for example, choose a solution for our company now.
Is Eficode paying?
Yeah, Eficode is paying.
I think I would take this one.
Okay.
I haven't tried Rancher yet. Richard is a huge fan of Rancher, but I think I will take this one because I just work with my Docker Compose files, then I tell it to put it up. Yeah, there.
What's the pricing for this data center?
The price, I have to guess, but I would say it's like $5,000 per node for a year or something like that. It's a complete guess. Other questions?
Just a point, we are also awarding licenses and it's completely paid with our company and this program.
What? You're also paying for my data center?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have been struggling 2 months for now with Docker licensing, so it's not very DevOps.
Yeah. Other questions, or should we just end here?
Well, I think can come and ask you afterwards. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Markus.